Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig Podcast, we're talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows, we're talking about COD possibly coming to Game Pass, and Stop Killing Games.
Want to remind you guys that we have a bonus video for members of the podcast channel. If you're interested in supporting the podcast and getting that bonus video every week, check out the join button on the YouTube version of this podcast. This week, in the bonus video, we are talking about Square Enix going multi-platform, some very interesting stuff there. Or I should say, they are now going to be committing to open platform.
Yeah, they've done it before.
Yeah,
but this is a big deal. Anyway, make sure you join because you ain't going to want to miss that, okay? But first, we want to talk to you about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Randy, did you happen to notice that Assassin's Creed Red has a name now and a reveal trailer?
I did. It got a nice little fancy cinematic trailer, and the game is called Assassin's Creed Shadows, which if you had made me pick a name for the game, I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is a great name for that game.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
with the limited knowledge that I have about the game, Assassin's Creed Shadows sounds like a great name.
Yeah.
You know, it's the fabled, often asked for Japanese Assassin's Creed. And I would be pretty confident in saying there's probably going to be more than one Shadow.
There are actually two playable characters, and there are going to be multiple shadows. I see what you're saying. You're saying that there are going to be tons of shadows in the game.
Yeah.
I thought you were alluding to the fact that there are multiple characters.
Like a metaphorical shadow?
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not that deep.
No, you're talking about literal shadows. I'm sure there are great lighting effects in the game.
Gotta be.
Yeah, there are going to be two playable characters. Obviously, this is the game that everyone has been asking for forever. I mean, like, when you think about Assassin's Creed, the first thing that, may come to your head is, Japanese,
Ninjas?
Ninjas, I guess. Is it ninjas? Is that...
I mean, Assassin's Creed is kind of ninja-like.
Yeah.
It definitely started out kind of ninja-like. And, I've been wanting a Japanese Assassin's Creed since I liked Assassin's Creed.
And that's been many years.
It's been a while.
Yeah. And that really is the thing here is that Ubisoft has not been killing it lately. And even though this is a game that I feel like should have tons of hype behind it, because it is literally everyone has been asking for an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan for ever.
Did you say Ubisoft hasn't been killing it?
No, they've been killing themselves.
I thought you meant the hype. And I was like, no, they've been killing all the hype.
Oh, yeah, they've definitely killed all the hype, for sure. And that's the thing. They have been they've shot themselves in the foot one too many times. And it seems like all potential hype for Assassin's Creed, or just Ubisoft in general, it's just in the toilet right now.
It definitely in the crapper. I don't think we should gloss over the fact that, at least one of these playable characters is an actual historical figure. You told me that this morning, and I did some research, and that's pretty cool. Yeah. I like that. I watched their video talking about, the African samurai and all that. You said they're kind of changing the story a little bit, though.
Yeah, apparently this is, I don't know how to pronounce, is it?
I think it's Yasuke.
Yasuke, okay. Apparently this is based on a real historical figure, an African in Japan. This is set, way back, I think the 1500s.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
I think it's 16th century.
And I think they have taken some liberties with the actual historical character to make it maybe more interesting, more video gamey. I don't know that this character was an actual samurai. I don't think so.
Turns out there's other media that use this character, and they also depicted him as a samurai.
Okay.
So maybe he did do some samurai stuff. I don't know.
I'm not really sure. I'm not going to sit and pretend like I know. I had never heard about this character before this. So it's obviously caused a little bit of controversy just because of things like this cause controversy. I think the controversy is a little overblown.
Yeah.
People saying it's not historically accurate, or it's just sensationalized, or they're just trying to create a controversy so that the game gets some public attention. I don't know. I think it's kind of silly. I think it's a cool idea. I really liked how in the interview that Ubisoft did about this game, after they released it alongside the trailer, they talked about how it was really cool to have a character who was kind of new and experiencing Japan, and it kind of is like a stand-in for the player who would also be kind of in those shoes of their first, getting to experience this new thing together.
you know, I'm always here for an artsy fartsy metaphor, and I love that. You know, yeah, I don't have much to say about it, to be honest with you. I agree. The controversy is kind of overblown, especially knowing that this is an actual historical dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's just move on to the poll. You know, we were wondering, are you guys going to play Assassin's Creed Shadows? At 17%, people said yes. So overwhelming number there. 19% said I'm still undecided. 16% said I don't even know what the crap this is. And resounding 48% said hell no.
So you would think, in my mind, a game that would have this much excitement about it, that we would have more numbers leaning towards yes, or maybe they're undecided. The fact that 50% of people are just straight up saying no right now shows me that, are people just kind of boycotting this game? I mean, obviously, we haven't even seen gameplay. We don't know what it's going to be like. The only reference point we have is what has Ubisoft been doing lately, and what have they specifically been doing with Assassin's Creed lately?
Yes.
And why are people not super interested in this game?
Yeah, and we have some comments that definitely are going to touch on that in a minute. But before that, I did have one here from Floating Ham Stick, who makes some comparisons to another great game. Who said, there's already a great Assassin's Creed Japan game, and it's called Ghost of Tsushima. It's out on PC now, and it's way better than anything Ubisoft has put out in the past 10 years. That's a fair point.
Absolutely, it's a fair point. I mean, like, everyone has said Ghost of Tsushima is Assassin's Creed, but in Japan, but maybe better than Assassin's Creed.
Right.
I could totally say that, like, it definitely scratched that itch for me.
It scratched the itch for me without me even knowing it. I was playing that game. I think I might have been done with it. You know, I guess you were playing it at this point, and you were like, this is just like Assassin's Creed. And I was like, nuh-uh. Like, it can't be.
Surely it's not. I don't like Assassin's Creed,
right.
but I like this game.
But you're right. It is very much an Assassin's Creed-like. But it's like what I remember liking about Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say that
just a good game.
Ghost of Tsushima is very much in line with even like modern Assassin's Creed. Like, it's not too far off. But obviously, it's not made by Ubisoft, so that's going to be the main defining factor that people are going to like about Ghost of Tsushima over, say, something like Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Right. That's a pro for sure.
And there is something to keep in mind here. I brought this up to you on the phone earlier when we were talking about this, is that us who are plugged into gaming news, we know, like, all the stuff that Ubisoft has done that makes us think, like, I don't know if I want to support any game that Ubisoft puts out.
Right.
I'd say there's a fair amount of us, even me, who I don't really even care that much, but still it makes me, like, a little hesitant because I just don't like all the crap that they've pulled, especially recently. We're going to talk about some more of this later on in the episode when we talk about the Stop Killing Games movement.
Yeah.
The company
they come back up,
at the forefront of that has been Ubisoft.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, it makes me a little hesitant. And then you have just the fact that Assassin's Creed in general has not had the best reputation as of late. Like, the last number of games have kind of turned people off. It seems like the breaking point was Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
I agree. That was definitely where I finally broke.
Yeah.
I hadn't played it for a long time, but I didn't hate it yet.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, okay, I love Vikings. I'm going to jump in here. And I just didn't like it at all.
Yep. I think a lot of
that was pretty much the breaking point.
And what's really weird is that game seems to be the breaking point, yet it was the most successful, best-selling Assassin's Creed game of all time. You know, like, what is going on there? There is something strange here where that is the most popular game, yet is also the game that seems to turn people away. And then you had the direct sequel to that game being Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yep.
And that game went back to basics for the most part. And I really liked that game. I think it was exactly what modern Assassin's Creed should be. And yet it seems like that game, either people didn't play it because they were so turned off by Valhalla, or it wasn't enough to right the ship. Can you right the Ubisoft ship at this point? I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I might be ready to make an announcement.
Okay.
I think I'm an official Ubisoft boycotter.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I'm just sick of all the things we just discussed. And the only thing I really ever wanted from them was Assassin's Creed.
Really?
And they killed that.
I mean, Ubisoft makes so much stuff, dude. They
I
make
know.
so many games, and that's the thing is like it's really tough when we're talking about a company because
Although I already bought that Prince of Persia game, so I'll finish that one day.
that was a great game, really great game. But you're not the only one. I mean, we have like a comment here from Lucas Gabriel who said, "Excellent. Seems like people are learning this lesson. Proud of every gamer that's not giving Ubisoft any money." So you're
Yeah.
not alone in
Yeah.
thinking, you know.
Yeah, doesn't Arlo do that as well?
Yeah, Arlo is very anti-Ubisoft.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, I put here like our gamers boycotting Ubisoft with this one. We've kind of been talking about that, but
feels that way.
This is not the only comment that was very negative. You know.
Oh no, yeah.
So I mean, it's an overwhelming, you know, kind of vibe right now towards Ubisoft. Even though, like we've said, this is the game we've always wanted.
It's very weird.
And you know, we haven't even touched on the monetization of this game, but it's got the season pass, it's got the gold and ultimate and collectors or whatever, and you can basically give them as much money as you'd like.
Yeah, and the you know the season pass is going to have actual like gameplay things like storylines tied behind it, or at least missions. I don't know if it's going to be full. It's probably going to be next to nothing. It probably will be nothing, but still it's there.
Yep.
There's gameplay that's tied behind a paywall. They're doing the 3-day early access thing if you
Yep.
pre-order it, yet they've shown no gameplay. I am anti pre-ordering games, period. It doesn't matter what. I don't care who it's from. I'm anti pre-ordering games.
You pre-order games a lot, though,
No.
don't you?
No.
Okay.
Pre-order them?
Yeah. I mean, I've gone to GameStop with you
Well-
multiple times to pre-order games.
Well, I've pre-ordered very few. I guess I should say like I've pre-ordered Tears of the Kingdom. I pre-ordered.
Did you do
Well,
Metroid
here's the
Dread?
thing. Sometimes I will game lock them on
Yeah.
GameFly,
Yeah.
which I guess could be considered pre-ordering.
No, I don't think so.
But that is a lot of the games. But I have pre-ordered some Nintendo games, and I am definitely guilty of that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't think that like for the most part. Well, I should say I am anti pre-ordering games when it is like this, where like it's going to be a digital only game anyway. You're ordering you're pre-ordering the digital deluxe version.
Yeah.
Why would you pre-order a digital game?
I mean, the only advantage I can see is the pre-download, you know, like that.
Yeah.
For somebody who doesn't work from home, that has been useful before. I will say, I'll admit that, because you know you download it at midnight or whatever, and the next day when you go home from work, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could see though,
Yeah.
making it worth it.
Yeah. It's kind of tough, but they're doing that 3-day early access thing.
Yeah, I don't support that.
It's so many things, so many people are doing that. We even saw Rare do that with Sea of Thieves on the PS5 launch, where
Right.
it was like if you pre-ordered it, you got the early access.
The early PS5
And
closed.
that and that FOMO is real.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. We got another comment here from Wallakalok. Wallakalok?
Well, luck a lot.
Wallakalok says Ubisoft. Dang it, I did it. I reverted. Ubisoft has truly and finally broken every shred of trust and respect I used to have for them, especially after the Skull and Bones fiasco. There is no way I'm buying anything from them again unless they step up their game and take a look at what's being made today. Seriously, look at the other games that came out in 2023, and they still thought Skull and Bones was deemed to be classified as a quadruple A game. Ubisoft is either living under a rock or treating all of us like idiots. I think it's both. Let's boycott Ubisoft till they either go bankrupt or become better. Eat the rich.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing.
That is a battle cry.
That is a battle cry. I have a really hard time with anything about this because I just keep coming back to the fact that we're talking about a company here, and there probably are some like just stupidly greedy executives who are making all the calls. But I think about like how big a company like Ubisoft is and how many developers who are just trying to do their jobs, who are going to be affected by all this stuff. And it really pains me to think like, oh, should you boycott a company like this, knowing that like the ramifications of that aren't just that a company goes down, but then all these people who work for them are potentially getting laid off. And like, there's so many humans. The human element is something that I can't seem to let go of enough to be like, yeah, I think we should just completely boycott a company. It's really tough for me.
Well, I totally get that.
Yeah.
But is that a good reason to prop up a company that
No,
people
I'm not.
don't
And that's
like
the thing
their
is like,
products?
no, I mean, like, I think that I think the market will decide. Like if people are tired of
Right.
Ubisoft games, if they're tired of Assassin's Creed, it's gonna happen one way or another. You know,
Right.
it's just hard for me to join the battle cry and be like, yeah, don't give Ubisoft any money.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
it's
I don't
tough.
want those people to be laid off. I mean,
Yeah.
I see that, but
Yeah.
it's like you said, you know, the market's going to decide, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a consumer,
Yeah.
and I feel very strongly that I could vote with my wallet. You know.
Oh yeah, and
so-
totally. And there's nothing. And like I think like that is completely legitimate. And I think that if you don't like these games, why would you want to play? Why would you buy a game
Why
that you
would you
don't
buy it?
like? Right?
Exactly.
Like don't buy a game that you don't like. Just don't do it.
yeah,
At the same time, it's like
Agreed.
there are some games that Ubisoft has put out that I genuinely did enjoy. Like you brought up the Prince of Persia game. Like I liked that game quite a bit.
yeah,
And if I was like boycotting Ubisoft, I wouldn't have played that game.
True.
And I really enjoyed that game. I thought it was put together with a lot of love and passion. It was quite enjoyable. Even the last Assassin's Creed Mirage, I loved that game.
Yeah.
And Valhalla was definitely way too bloated for me, and I spent way too many hours into a game that even although I enjoyed it, it could have been so much better if it was pared down.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I have problems with the direction of Assassin's Creed for sure. I don't love that. But beyond that, they just seem so greedy.
Yeah.
Like everything they put out, like all these big releases that we're hearing about, at least the ones coming up, are like over monetized to the nth degree. Star Wars Outlaws, like they killed my hype for that so fast.
Because it's going to have the season pass. It's
Yeah.
going to have the missions tied behind it. It's going to have the early access.
Yeah.
It just, everything is wrong with
It's
it.
all wrong.
Yeah.
It's all wrong.
Yep.
Like you had me. If you just told me like open world Star Wars game, original story set at this time, like I would play it.
Yeah.
Most likely. But you killed that. That like I hate all that other stuff so much. So
My last thing before we move on from this is like kind of what we mentioned or what we talked about earlier today before the podcast is that these people who are gamers are plugged in this, but the general
Right.
audience is not.
Right.
And obviously we talked about that kind of that separation of Assassin's Creed Valhalla being the best selling Assassin's Creed game, yet it being the one that turned so many people off. I wonder, is it just turning off the gamers who are plugged into the gaming news and are interested in this kind of stuff? And the casual audience who doesn't really care? Are they still on board and they're going to play Outlaws? They're going to play this new Assassin's Creed, and they're going to continue to sell really well.
probably. I'm thinking so. If not Odyssey, if Valhalla is the best selling one,
Right.
and it's the one that turned the hardcore people off, I think there's your answer.
Yeah. I'd say that there's a really good chance that maybe all of this is in vain, at least to some degree.
Yeah, and because we're not the majority.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all. Yeah, 100%. You're right.
but I do think that they should care what we think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think we
We may
have
not be the majority, but I think we're the target audience.
because a bad game is
should be.
a bad game is a bad game.
Yeah,
Like there's you can have a good game that has bad monetization and it'll turn off the hardcore gamers, but the casuals aren't going to care.
Right.
But if you have a bad game that's just a bad game, that's going to turn off everybody.
facts.
That's like we look at the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game. That was just a bad game. There's just it doesn't matter if you're a casual fan, if you're a hardcore gamer. It was just a bad game. And if they keep making games like that,
Yeah,
and that's the same team that's putting together Outlaws, by the way.
yeah, I know.
That's the kind of stuff that if Ubisoft keeps making those decisions, they're going to be completely screwed.
Right. What else have they? Not to keep talking about Ubisoft, but what else have they put out recently that you liked? Oh, you liked Mirage.
I liked Mirage.
Yeah.
I liked the Prince of Persia game. Let me think. I mean, what? Oh, I didn't like Skull and Bones. I didn't like Frontiers of Pandora. Those have been their main games for the past year, I guess.
Yeah.
So they've been either they hit or they had complete misses. I didn't even play Skull and Bones because it was like
Nah.
I didn't care at all about
No,
Skull and Bones.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm good. I can barely play AAA.
Like you can, put
don't
that
know.
extra A on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that was a complete, just what an awful decision to make to say we're going to call this quadruple A.
Right.
Speaking of awful decisions, though, we have Xbox and Microsoft. They've got a new Call of Duty coming out this holiday season.
Yep.
It hasn't officially been announced, but we all know that is what they've teased. It's going to be announced here at the Summer Games Fest time. Yeah.
And before we discuss that horrible decision,
Oh, sorry.
we want to discuss a good decision that you can make, which is clicking the Twitch. Oh, wait, no, I was going into Discord. You know what? I'm doing Discord, which is clicking the Discord join link in the description of this video. Okay, we've got a Gaming Gig Discord server. It's super cool. People over there are super nice. We talk games. We talk other random crap. Join up.
We'd love to have you over there. Seriously, join in. But yeah, so Xbox has got this Call of Duty game coming out, and the question is, now that Xbox owns Activision and they own Call of Duty, are they going to put this game on Game Pass or not? It's really kind of up in the air, but there have recently been rumors that they are actually going to do it. They're going to put this Call of Duty on Game Pass.
That is nuts.
Although these are rumors. This has not been said by Xbox.
Yeah.
I just want to say that.
These are rumors, but you know what they say about rumors, and it means they're always true. So that is nuts to me that you'd be able to play what is one of the biggest selling games every time it hits on Game Pass. And that, as a consumer, if I liked Call of Duty, I sure would think that was badass.
Well, I do. I want to be very clear that I want them to do this for all the people who are going to save so much money if they do this. But I don't think that this is a wise move, personally. I really was under the assumption that they weren't going to do this, and maybe they won't. Maybe they have, changed their mind, because the rumors have been this internal discussion, and they can't decide if Call of Duty is going to Game Pass or not.
Right.
And there's been things like, well, maybe they'll raise the price of Game Pass to accommodate this move. Who
Make like the
knows?
Call of Duty tier.
Yeah, there's been all kinds of things. Even some people saying like, oh, they'll put the multiplayer online on Game Pass, but they'll leave the story mode separate.
Ooh,
like
yeah.
they'll divvy the game up.
Like Halo.
Like they did with Halo.
Yeah.
Yep, like they did with Halo.
Okay.
So there are all kinds of options, and we're not going to know until a few weeks from now when they actually announce the game. Then I bet they'll put out if it's going to be on Game Pass, what the pricing structure is going to look like, all that. But the question is should they? Like, what do people think? Should they put it on Game Pass or not? We put out a poll about that.
We sure did. And at 79%, people said, hell yeah. And at 21%, people said no.
Yeah. And what do you think, Daniel? Before we go on to some comments that we got on this poll, do you think they should put it on?
Well, I want to be very clear that I ain't going to play it no matter what, because I don't play Call of Duty.
Same.
So it doesn't really matter to me personally. So I said no, simply because I know it's going to probably be bad for business, so to speak. And I hate to see Xbox keep making mistakes. But as a consumer, I would say absolutely. I mean, if I wanted to play Call of Duty and now I realize I don't have to do anything except keep Game Pass, and maybe I already, keep Game Pass is what I mean, then that's a win, and I think you could probably maybe add that to a long list of pro-consumer moves that good guy Xbox continues to make that shoot themselves in the fiscal foot.
Yeah, it's like they're good guy Xbox, and they keep getting friend zoned by money.
And now they're just getting COD blocked.
That's great. I'm so glad you came up with that on the spot. We got some comments here about it. We got Brunch.
Now they're going to think I had that pre-baked.
I hope you know. I know you didn't. He came up with that on the spot. That was really good.
Thank you.
Got a comment from Brunch who said, if COD was on Game Pass, maybe I consider playing it. But realistically, I think it would be a bad business move. I wonder how many people, if they already have Game Pass, are like, you know what? Heck, it's here. I'll play it. I might be tempted to try the story mode if it's like, just to see. I haven't played a Call of Duty, and I've played like a tiny bit of a story mode, like, I don't know, like a decade or more ago.
And they were fun back in the day. I will say, like on the 360, I enjoyed them.
So,
that's about the last one I played.
But I haven't followed it or cared to, at all.
No. Is there something to follow? Can you guys tell us that? Is there like continuity?
I don't know that there is.
I don't think there is.
I don't know that there is. It doesn't feel like there is. As an outsider, it doesn't feel that way.
It does not feel that way. And that was Brunch, period, by the way.
Brunch, period. It's the end of the sentence, just
Yep.
brunch. It's like an answer to a question, like what you want to do.
Brunch. I want a brunch.
Yeah.
All right, we got another comment here from Tankified. Or no, Tankafed. Tankafed said it would be a catastrophic failure regarding Xbox's game plans if they withheld COD from Game Pass. It would be a clear signal that Game Pass isn't a worthwhile endeavor for Xbox, which for obvious reasons would be a complete catastrophe.
I do think that Game Pass is killing studios that are first party studios. I think Game Pass is great for third party studios.
Yeah.
I think that Game Pass is even good for first party games after hype has died down, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But when games are new, I love that I can go on and play them on Game Pass.
Me too.
But I think about Hellblade 2. This is a game that's coming up this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I would 100% be on that day one.
Yeah.
I would buy the game. But the fact that it's going to be on Game Pass, I'm going to save money. I'm just going to play it on Game Pass.
Right. Randy will not... His bottom line is always his bottom line.
Yes.
Always.
Always.
So, while Randy may think this is bad for the game and the studio making the game that he loves,
Yes.
he will not be a part of the solution.
No, I really won't.
I want to make that clear.
I mean, like, isn't that pretty much everyone? I mean, like,
it makes perfect sense.
I mean, you got to look out for yourself. And like, you know, I am a musician. Mm-hmm. You know, I cannot be.
Is that what you call yourself?
I don't know. I'm a music. I teach music. I play music, and then I talk about video games. So I don't know what you want to call me. But musician is probably the nicest thing you could call me. You could call me a lot of worse things.
Okay, Grandpa.
So I'm gonna be nice to myself. But yeah,
That's important.
I've got to look out for my wallet. And even though I loved Hellblade, I loved it when I replayed it a few weeks back. Super excited for Hellblade 2. If I have an option to play this game for $10,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay instead of $70.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a $70 game. It's probably gonna be a $50 game. I bet it's cheaper.
Okay.
But still, that's 1/5 the price. Of course, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right. That makes sense. I wasn't trying to shite on you.
No, but it's true.
I was just making a joke about your fiscal nature,
But
your frugal nature.
And this kind of is like, you know, we're talking about a lot of lost money just from one person. That's from me. I would definitely buy the game, but now I'm going to play it on Game Pass. And I'm sure the majority of people who are going to play it are going to play it on Game Pass. And that is really going to hurt Ninja Theory.
Right. I agree completely. I mean, we saw it happen. We saw it with Hi-Fi Rush. And,
Yep.
you know, I can see why you're afraid it's going to happen to a game that you love.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush was an enormous success, but most people who played it on Game Pass, which means although it was a success in terms of it, they won awards. The people loved the game. People were playing it on Game Pass. It didn't make enough money.
Right.
And they closed down the studio.
It was, by all accounts, though, a smaller game that brought Xbox prestige and awards.
Yeah, which they say they
Mr.
won.
Booty.
Yeah.
All right. Randy, this next comment, I want you to hold on to your ass, okay?
I'm holding
There's
on
a
to it.
lot of math. Okay?
Ooh, okay.
This is from Morris Dennison. Morris says, if you want Activision to be worth $0, that's where the math starts, the answer is yes. Putting their games on Game Pass would be the most crippling thing they could do to that behemoth of a company. Let's do a hypothetical. With the last Call of Duty released, Modern Warfare 3, it sold what, 1.2 million copies? So, at $70 a piece, that's 84 million, not including microtransactions. Let's cut 2/3 of that away because you'd be playing it for free on Game Pass on Xbox and on PC. So the game only made 28 million. Now, let's take their total earnings from Modern Warfare 3, which were 400 million, and subtract the 50 million difference, of course, leaving 350 million. Online resources say the budget was 1 billion, but it says they actually only spent around 300 million. Subtracting this, it turns out Modern Warfare 3 probably only made 50 million. Are you with me so far?
No, I'm not. I think there's something up here, specifically with this saying that Modern Warfare 3 only sold 1.2 million copies. Maybe it sold 1.2 million copies it's like, no way. It sold way more than one. There's no, I think this is wrong.
Okay.
But anyways, you can keep going if you'd like.
Well, I didn't fact check him on
Okay.
any of this.
I think that
But that does sound fishy.
yeah, I think that there's maybe some stuff going on. I think maybe it sold more than that. This did say it was a hypothetical. Okay.
Hypothetical.
So this was, hypothetical. But at the same time, the thought is correct. You know, like
Right.
whether or not, you know, you're going to be cutting out tons of that initial purchase. I think that Modern Warfare 3 probably sold significantly more than 1.2 million copies. I would say it probably sold over 10 million copies.
Probably.
Because we're talking about it's a Call of Duty game. I mean, they're historically the best-selling games of every year, and to be in that number, you're going to have to sell north of 15 million, I would say.
True.
You'd have to, right?
I bet you that's a mistype on his part, because I bet you Morris would agree with you.
Yeah. 1.2 million. I mean, the new Mario versus Donkey Kong remake sold 1.2 million. So, yeah.
Well,
anyways.
Sorry that Grandpa tore you apart there, Morris.
No, it was a hypothetical, and maybe Morris didn't even look it up. It could have just been like a.
I don't think he did.
Yeah. But at the same time, the thought that they're losing money by putting it on Game Pass day one is an absolute, it's got to be a certainty.
It's got to be a certainty. And my question, coming out of all that math, that hypothetical math,
right,
was that doesn't even matter because Microsoft has money grown on trees. They're one of the most valuable companies in the world.
Yeah.
Do they even give a shit?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they really care. I think we know for a fact they care because we just saw them close down Tango Gameworks. We saw them close down Arcane Austin, and they did that to get their numbers to go up.
Right.
And this was
maybe they need to start closing these COD studios then.
Well, okay.
Because it's about to happen.
I mean, yeah, they'll get their. No, the thing is, we just got the financial earnings of Xbox, and we know that they went up, their earnings from having Activision brought them up a huge amount. But even if you discounted the Activision stuff, they still went up. They earned 1% more this past year than they did the year before. So they are still growing, yet still they made cuts. So they need that number to be more than 1%. They need more money. And
based on whatever projection they have to probably get out of Activision Blizzard debt.
Yes, I would assume so.
Yeah.
And, the Game Pass thing is interesting because a lot of people have been saying that Game Pass has become fully saturated, meaning that everyone who wants Game Pass has Game Pass. Now, I would assume that if they put Call of Duty into Game Pass, there are going to be people who sign up for Game Pass just to play that game.
Yeah, I would say so, but would it be even close to the amount of sales they would get otherwise? No.
No.
But there definitely will be a few people who are like, you know what, I haven't played COD in a few.
Yeah.
I'll throw you some Game Pass money and try it. I'm sure that'll happen.
But then you're like,
but will they keep it?
Will they keep Game Pass? Yeah. Right. Well, the good thing about this Call of Duty is that it will be a live service model. It is going to be, recurring. So unless you just want to play it for a month and stop, it's not like the game's going to have an end.
Right.
The story mode will, but
Right. And there's a good chance that some of these people will forget to cancel their Game Pass. So Xbox wins there.
Yeah.
Because subscriptions will do that to you.
And the real question is what kind of Game Pass do they buy? Do they buy, if you're just say you're going to buy it for the first time, are you going to buy for console? Well, if you have an Xbox, you may already have Game Pass for console. So that's probably not going to bring that much. So I would say most of that's going to be oriented towards Game Pass for PC or Game Pass Ultimate.
Which is where the sweatiest COD sweats probably play.
Well, yeah, and it's going to be there already. So it's going to be on PC. It's going to be cross-platform. We know that.
Sure.
I don't know. I think I'm interested to see if they end up doing this. I think that this is the biggest gamble that Xbox will have or has ever made on Game Pass if they do it.
And I don't see a world where it possibly pays off.
I don't think that I think day one releases first party they've already shown it doesn't work.
Right.
Yet they still do it because they made the promise. And now it's like if they take it back, people will be riding in the streets.
That's true. You've been a long-time Game Pass subscriber under this pretense. All of a sudden it's not there anymore. We're going to burn it down.
People will.
Tim Howard will not be safe.
People will unsubscribe from Game Pass if they say Call of Duty is not coming to Game Pass. People will unsubscribe.
They will. That's a certainty.
Yeah, they are literally they've got themselves in a scenario where it's lose-lose. If they don't put it on Game Pass, they lose. If they put it on Game Pass, they lose.
In a way that only Xbox can.
Yeah, very unique to Xbox. They put themselves in this situation. I don't know. Maybe Xbox just needs to give up on consoles.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to. Maybe they need to give up on Game Pass. Maybe they just need to be a publisher. They need to go the way of Sega. Maybe
they need to try something because I've about given up on them.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, guys, we're going to move into our last topic, which is our Stop Killing Games topic. But first, I want to tell you guys about our Twitch. We stream on Twitch on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We would love for you to hang out with us. It's a great place just to chat with us in real time. Call us mean names if you want.
Especially him.
I mean, obviously.
That's Gampaul.
That was a given, right? And do all you can do to hurt my feelings. But there's a link to our Twitch channel in the description of this podcast, wherever you are listening to it.
Love it. Do that. Take all that advice, especially the mean names part. Randy, have you heard about this Stop Killing Games movement?
Yeah, it's like a petition that's been started.
At the very least, it's a petition.
Yeah.
It might be a way of life.
Yeah, I have heard about this. I heard about this when it first came around. It seemed like this was spawned initially by Ubisoft, of course. We're back on Ubisoft, announcing that they were going to be closing down The Crew.
Yes.
And it was going to be no longer available to play. And The Crew is interesting because it is not a free-to-play game. This was a game people paid full price for, and now they just have the game taken away from them, and they cannot play it at all anymore.
Right. So there's this petition that came out of this called Stop Killing Games, and this is kind of all over the place, but they are signable or will soon be signable in a lot of European countries. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of campaigning towards this EU, which there's some processing delays there. But as we know, the EU has a little bit of a history recently of kind of stepping on the toes of technology giants.
Right, and kind of starting things moving elsewhere in the world. Like if something goes through in the EU, it often spreads, and we see it, trickle into the United States.
Exactly. It's such a big market. It'd be crazy for those countries to make one model that does that and then another model that doesn't. It'd just be weird. So they don't do it. There is probably a universe where this does something. However, the United Kingdom government has said there's no legal requirement for games to remain playable indefinitely. There is a quote from the DCMS, though, which stands for the Department of Culture, Media, and Sports, which says that if customers are led to believe a game will remain playable indefinitely for certain systems, despite the end of physical support, this may require that the game remains technically feasible, for example, at least available offline, to play under those circumstances. So there's some really specific verbiage that might be useful. That's why I included that.
Yeah. And this is an interesting topic to me because, one, if you pay for something, generally you think you own it. But we know now that if you buy a game digitally, you are not buying the game. You are instead buying access to the game.
Yep.
And that access can be revoked at any time. We are just now finally starting to see that it's not just something written down in a contract that you didn't read. Right. Because you accepted the terms and agreements. Instead, this is a thing that is real, and we're starting to see the very first games act on it and revoke your access to the game.
Right. And, this goes back even to retro games, I would say. Like, people are so mad about the preservation of retro games and how emulation factors into all that. I think all this kind of works together to a certain degree.
It does.
But I know this is more geared towards those live service games and games that were digital only, etc. So we asked the Game and Get Faithful, should games be legally required to stay playable? And most of y'all said yes at 89%. 11% of y'all said no.
Yeah, so the vast majority of people think that games should not just be required to stay playable, legally required to stay playable. That,
right.
It should be a law. And this is where I start to be like, I love the idea of games being able to remain playable.
Yes.
But legally is where I start to get a little bit on the fence. I'm like, okay. We've talked about this before on the podcast, and I don't think either of us are in love with the idea of it being written down as a law. If you put a game out, it has to remain playable in perpetuity,
Yeah. I definitely am not in support of that.
Yeah.
Like the European Union making that law about iPhones having to go USB-C, right? Yeah. I love the idea of that because whenever I get a new iPhone, it'll be USB-C, and I love that.
Yeah.
But even at that moment, I was like, I don't love that a law just required a company to do this, because what if it's something I don't love? Well, that's exactly what this is. If the European Union makes a law that says games got to stay open forever, that's great for me.
It's great for you.
But what happens when it's not?
Yeah. And also it's like, like when we're talking about this, we got to remember that we're not just talking about giant companies who are able to do this like Ubisoft. We're talking about it's got to apply to everybody. These are the indie studios that put out a game and only 7 people play it, and now they have to legally keep it remain playing. It's got to apply to everybody.
Yeah, that would be bullshit.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so it doesn't just apply to these big companies. We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know, but let's read some comments, and maybe we can suss out some more of our thoughts as we go through some comments on this.
I bet you can suss something out.
We have a comment from MRTY Jr. Maybe it's Marty Jr. or Mr. TY Jr.
I think it's Mr. Ty Jr.
Mr. Ty Jr., who said, I think the option of a time-limited release / availability should always be open. The government forcing companies to make their product permanently available is unfriendly to them. Maybe friendly to the consumer, but the will of the distributor is of higher importance as it's thanks to them that the product even exists in the first place. It's an interesting take.
It is. It is. It is definitely unfriendly to these companies, which I know it's easy to consider friendly to us.
Yeah.
But there's definitely some trickle down there.
Right. And it may even be like, when you think of it like, oh, it's a giant company, I don't really care if it's a little unfriendly to them. They make billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But we got to keep in mind, like I said earlier, it's for everybody. Even the little indie developers. This would apply to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's just an interesting take. Very interesting take. Kind of the other side of the coin, compared to most people who just say, yeah, it should happen.
Right. All right. We got another comment here from Cassia Dinero.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who said free-to-play games? No. Games that you paid money for? Yes, most definitely.
That's interesting because, I think about it. I had that thought too. Like, free-to-play games were free. Like, if they go away, you're not losing any money.
Right.
It's not like you paid anything for them. But then you got to realize free-to-play games aren't really free.
No.
Because free-to-play games are monetized one way or another. And if it's microtransactions, well, you bought something.
Probably.
You're still losing access to something that you paid for.
Yeah. So that's hard to make that designation. And
yeah. I think initially it seems like a good idea, but I think the more you start to dissect it, the more you realize, nah, you're still putting money into a game either way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. And I don't do that lightly with you.
No, not with money. Not when it comes to money. We got a comment here about this from Skyrim190 who said, no, but when they are discontinued, all the source code / data / whatever necessary for an interested community to keep a server running should be legally available freely. You made your money, right? You are openly saying you don't want to make money from this game anymore as you are discontinuing it. So let the community, if it's big enough and wants to step into thus.
I believe that was step into this.
Oh, okay.
Would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so well, I was just saying, maybe this is a way to look at it. Maybe it's legit, but I didn't like the idea of a company being legally required to open up all the data, to a respective IP that just because they're not using it right now, they might use it in the future. If a community gets a hold of it, they may bastardize it in such a way that it kind of tarnishes the legacy or the way that you want your game remembered.
But we have seen this with other games where they go offline, but it's made available so that the community can have a community-hosted server and keep the game alive.
Right.
So, but it's always on the part of the developer to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. And I love that.
I love that. And that is so, that's the move. If you want to be the good guy. Like, if Ubisoft had just said, hey, we're pulling the crew. We're not going to support anymore, but we're going to make it available so that it can have community-hosted servers so that you guys who want to play the game could. That would have been, I don't know how much harder that would have been for them. I don't know what kind of work that would have done, but it would have done so much to save face for them. Because I think everyone understands that a game eventually has to die.
Yes. I agree. I think that would have been a total PR move on their part.
Yeah.
But I just don't want them to be required to do it by law.
Agreed. I think so too. I think that we're going to have a separation. We're going to see companies who, when they sunset games, are cool about it. And then we're going to see companies like Ubisoft, whose PR department apparently they don't have one. Or maybe they have like literal evil villains running it.
Right.
They're going to not do it, and it's going to piss everybody off, and then they're going to lose money because of it.
Yep. I agree.
Yep.
All right. We got another comment here from Brunch.
Double Brunch.
I know, but I liked what Brunch was saying here.
Okay,
So,
I'll say.
I threw Branch a bone who said, as a software developer and a gamer who can understand both sides here, unfortunately, the answer is no. It is not feasible to expect companies to have never-ending support for online services for their games. That being said, I assume this is more geared towards companies making games that could be single-player and offline, but they make them online and eventually discontinue them to force consumers to move on to one of their other products. This is blatantly anti-consumer practice and should not be allowed.
Yeah, this is like, what is it? What was the game that did this?
Well, we about short-circuited their game.
Yeah, I'm thinking Overwatch?
Overwatch. That's exactly what happened with Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch.
Because they released, Overwatch 2,
Yes.
and they were like, they forced you over.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened with Payday 2, right?
No, Payday's still going.
Payday 2 still going?
Yep.
Okay.
So Payday didn't do that. That's one thing they screwed up with the launch of Payday 3 by not having enough content. It was like, even if some aspects of it were better, it was like they introduced a game that was, we didn't know because we weren't Payday 2 players. We went into Payday 3 and we're like, oh, it's fun. But apparently Payday 2 had so much stuff that it made Payday 3 seem like anemic.
Gotcha.
In terms of like what it had to offer. Like maybe it looked better and maybe it had some it was polished up, but Payday 2 was the better game because it had years of support.
So maybe they messed up in not doing this.
Well, it would have been very anti-consumer. Think about how pissed people would have been if they had this game that was so fully featured and then they removed it and then forced you to move on to Payday 3.
Yeah.
They would have had more people play Payday 3, but at what cost?
Everything.
I think Overwatch has seen that really screw them over, I'm sure.
I think so. It took. I feel like maybe they've recovered, but I think it took a while.
Yeah, it's crazy. So final thoughts, Daniel. Like, what would you, if you could just have a crystal ball?
Yep. Which I don't.
And you could make what you thought be best happen. What would you do?
I think if I could. Well, first of all, a crystal ball just predicts the future. It doesn't change the future.
You're right.
I think you're getting it confused with maybe the Dragon Balls.
If you collected all the Dragon Balls, yeah, and then you could make one wish.
I could make a wish.
Yeah, and you had to make the wish about this because
right.
I don't know why.
Because that's on brand for us right now.
Yeah.
I would say that all these companies decide to be the good guys and open their game up at the end for support.
Yep.
I guess I would say that is the move I would like to see the most.
Me too.
Just do it however you want to do it for the life of the game. And when it's over, let people step in if they want to.
Yeah, and if the game's not big enough, people don't care. Okay, it won't happen, and that's fine.
But I would not want to see any law that says they have to do that.
Yeah.
That's part of my wish too.
But your wish is that they're going to want to do it, even though there's not a law.
So I'm really playing with free will here.
Yeah, you want to morph so that they don't have free will anymore. They just want to. They all want to be the good guy.
Yep.
How different is that from a law?
It's completely different
because it's internal, not external.
Yeah.
But if you force,
I wish that they were internally motivated to do it.
All of the. Okay.
So, am I forcing them to be internally motivated? How can you do that? How can you force someone to be motivated internally? You can't.
Dragon Balls.
It's the only way.
It's the only way.
So am I playing God here? Yes. But you gave me a Dragon Ball wish.
I did.
How am I supposed to not play God?
Well, I think that I might do the same. I think I would use my Dragon Ball wish in the same way.
You wouldn't wish for underwear?
No. Let's see. Who did that? That
Oolong.
was Oolong, yeah. Oolong wished for underwear. And, not a bad wish.
And he saved the world.
Yeah, he did.
Because of it.
He stopped Emperor Pilaf from making whatever wish Emperor Pilaf was going to wish for. I don't
Probably
know.
immortality or something.
Probably.
That's all any of them you guys wanted. Alrighty.
Well, guys, there are so many things that I would love your opinion on. So leave us a comment letting us know whatever you think, whether it's about the Stop Killing Game movement, whether it's about Assassin's Creed Shadows, or whether it be about, what was the other topic we talked about? Oh, Call of Duty on Game Pass. So let us know about that. Now we're in our last segment of the podcast. You guys hung out with us this entire time.
And we know it wasn't easy. So we want to reward you. Okay. We want to reward you by shouting you out on the next podcast. But in order for us to do that, you got to join the 3 for Dale Club. Randy, tell them how to do that.
Super easy. Just leave us a comment, and in the comment, put 3 for Dale. It's our secret code phrase. We look for that. We find everyone who writes that in their comment, and we shout them out at the end of the next podcast.
Okay, we are starting out today's 3 for Dale Club with Bobbity, who said it's so sad to see these studios closing no matter what. Feels like the whole industry isn't safe, and I can imagine how discouraging it is for future devs. 3 for Dale. That's in reference to Xbox closing studios down. We talked about that last week.
Yeah, a lot of these comments that we're about to go over are going to be in reference to last week's podcast.
Nature of the beast.
It is the nature of the beast. Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine, like, we talked about Ninja Theory and Hellblade 2. There was an interview that the head of Ninja Theory did with the Skill Up podcast, which is Frames Per Second. And Lucy was really like going, she wanted him to kind of dog on Xbox and say that they were scared of what was going on. He just would not do it. It was very awkward. I loved it.
That's not good interviewing, though.
No, I mean, like, at the same time, I can understand it, though, because, you know,
it's like hard-hitting journalism.
It's like, you got to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
And although in the same breath, Lucy would tell you she's not a journalist, she's just like a game commentator. At that time, she was acting the journalist.
I'm glad you liked it.
And I loved how awkward it was. I loved it.
I'll have to go watch it.
It wasn't as awkward as that interview with Sarah Bond that we saw about X. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Daniel, we need to like watch that in the bonus video. It is so awkward. It is amazing. Okay. Anyways, next on the 3 for Dale Club, we have Bombs Away 12, who said, I like indie games, but I never play them in early access because most of them stay at least 1 to 4 years in it. Otherwise, great episode and 3 for Dale. Well,
yeah, they can. Games can certainly do that.
I don't like that. I
don't
like
either.
Early access, I feel like they should have when you go into, if you're going to do early access, you should have like it's going to release this date, but for this 6 months, year, it's going to be early access.
I agree. That would be better.
You see, like Kerbal Space Program 2 has been in early access forever. And it has no signs of going out of early access. And it probably never will now that the company who was running it was just shut down.
Right. Very on brand.
By Take-Two.
All right, next comment, or next 3 for Dale we got is from our friend Heck Vetica, who said, guys, I just learned that Animal Well has multiple endings and has secrets the developer thinks folks won't find for years. I'm astonished. I'm sure I'll still be playing this game in 2 or 3 for Dale months. Also, please start making merch because I need a Squat and Dumpy shirt and a Grandpa Randy hat. Thanks.
Those are all references to things that have happened on the Twitch stream. So if you would like to get in on these weird little
inside jokes,
come hang out with us on Twitch. We want you to be a part of them. We really do.
We do.
We don't want you to feel left out. Inside jokes are no fun for someone who doesn't know what they are.
Heck is sorry.
Heck is a part of them, and Heck can't help that. Heck can't help that Heck gets the inside jokes.
Heck gonna do what Heck gonna do.
That's right.
Heck gonna heck.
Next, we got a new member for the 3 for Dale Club, Yuzi Kichikawa. I'm sorry, I know I butchered that.
Lord, can you do that one more time?
No, you want to try it? You want to attempt? Go, you go for it, man.
I'm gonna go with Yuzu Chikawa.
Okay, we're gonna go with that.
Yuzu.
Use. There's an I in there. You're leaving out the I.
Well, I just wondered if that's how to be pronounced.
Okay.
Yuzui? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm sorry. Daniel and I are both sorry. But the comment says 3 for Dale. Sonic says rings for days. Also Star Rail. What is this? What is this in reference to?
I don't know. I couldn't figure it out.
What is this?
Sonic says rings for days. Also Star Rail.
Is that? I don't know. You're going to have to let us know. I love a good non sequitur. But, you know, you're going to have to give us some info on this. I would love to know. But thank you for joining the 3 for Dale Club.
Absolutely.
Very much appreciate it.
And last up, we got Tom Derry. Now, this is highly unconventional. Unconventional on the part of Tom. Tom posted a sick picture of these Dale Earnhardt glasses clips on our Discord. And then he was like, does this count for my 3 for Dale? And I was like, if I remember, it can count. And I remembered. Don't depend on me to do that every week, Tom, but I love this picture. I was moved. And if you guys want maybe a little backdoor alternate route into the 3 for Dale Club on occasion, join the damn Discord server.
Yeah, I don't know. What are a glasses clip?
Oh, you like put it in your car and then like it hangs from your visor and then you like put your glasses in it.
Oh, and you can have Dale watch over your glasses.
That's right.
I like it. That's awesome, Tom. All right. Let's see here. Something seems off. No land installings. oh my gosh, Landon, what's going on, man?
Randy was weirding me out there. What were you doing?
I was like gonna look on the thing. I was gonna be like, no way, was Landon not here?
I mean, we can double check. We can double check here.
It's okay, Landon. Landon had a busy week. Yep.
Look, Landon put a comment, but he didn't say 3 for Dale.
Landon, what is going on, Landon?
I love Metroidvanias. I bought a Switch under the guise of Metroid Prime 4 being released. RIP.
It's okay, Landon.
Landon, I'm sorry. You didn't follow the rules. And when I look for these, I'm scanning for that phrase is all I'm doing.
I just know, like, Landon meant to put 3 for Dale in there.
I'm sure.
Landon meant to.
I didn't even mean to exclude him. I just didn't see the phrase.
Landon got caught up thinking about how Metroid Prime 4 hasn't come to the Switch.
Yeah.
And maybe never will. And just forgot 3 for Dale.
Landon, I'm sorry that you forgot that. And I'm sorry that by proxy, I also feel guilty.
Yeah. I knew something was up here. I like there was a disturbance in the, world.
In the Dale Force.
Yeah, I could feel it. There really was. Oh, man.
Well, we got him in there anyway. Even if he specifically didn't want to be, he's there.
He's there. Oh, he's there. I don't think he specifically did not want to be.
I don't either.
I know he didn't.
I don't either.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel.
And this has been Gaming Gig.
3 for Dale.
That was the worst one I've ever seen.
So horrible. Oh,
I'm never going to be able to make that work in the edit.